So you're very welcome back to the channel, and we have another USA React for you guys. So thank you all for coming into the comment section and letting us know about this one. But before we get into that, if this is your first time on Unstable TV, do not forget to
like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell, and if you're back with us again, thank you.
So what are we reacting on today, Danielle?
So today, James, we've been sent over this a couple of times, and this is 9/11 Operation Yellow Ribbon, and this is from Gander in Newfoundland in Canada. Now, this video it's 45 minutes, so it is a long video. So we are going to have to cut this up into maybe 3 or 4 parts. So this is going to be part 1.
Either way, we'll have it all put into a playlist for you guys, and you can pick and choose what way you want to watch it with us. Without further ado, let's get into this for ourselves and you guys. Let's go!
Mentioned earlier that Tom Brokaw had an extremely compelling piece, so without further ado, Tom Brokaw.
Now, this devastating earthquake in Chile is a reminder that when one country gets in trouble, it really does depend on the family of nations for help. That's been especially true between this country, Canada, and the U.S., of course. The ties between the United States and Canada are long and enduring, and not just in good times, it turns out. On September 11th, 2001, the people of Canada came to our aid, managing an unprecedented crisis in the skies.
Yep.
They also took care of tens of thousands of displaced passengers who arrived at their doorstep on short notice.
That's wild.
This is the story of one small town that didn't get the attention it deserved in the chaotic aftermath of 9/11 in so many ways. It symbolizes the grace and the unselfish spirit of this very generous nation. September 11th, 2009. This is a scene that has played out in communities for 8 years since the terrorist attacks of 2001. But what makes this ceremony different is where it's taking place. This is the Appleton Peace Park near the town of Gander in Newfoundland, Canada, where during the tragedy of 9/11, there was a bright light on the better part of our humanity.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that has happened here, and we know that no matter what happens in the world, there are still good people.
That's true.
Yeah.
If this place can be somehow shared with the world would be a much better place.
Here in Gander, amid the heartache, an autumn romance blossomed. Here, parents were constantly consoled as they faced wrenching pain. Here, thousands of stranded Americans would form a lasting bond with everyday Canadians who acted with admirable,
nice.
unwavering kindness.
You love to say it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We can never again look at the New York skyline without remembering that day, September 11th, when terrorists hijacked airliners loaded with passengers and jet fuel, flew them into the World Trade Center and killed 3,000 people,
Awful.
altering the lives of an untold number of others. Most of our attention that day, of course, was focused here in New York, but it was a story that reverberated around the world. And it had a special impact
everywhere in the world.
on a small Canadian town 1,000 miles north of here. A town that became a safe port in a storm of fear, terrorism, and uncertainty. The province of Newfoundland and Labrador, a former British colony that did not join Canada until 1949, has long
that's a
been
long
considered
time.
Canada's poorest. It is largely populated by descendants of Scots and Irish, living simply in often harsh conditions.
Irish, that's us.
Here, neighbors relying on neighbors is a necessity of everyday life.
Good.
Good, that's what you love to hear.
Population 10,000, is a small, 2-stoplight town in the northeast corner of the island of Newfoundland. Claude Elliott has been mayor of Gander since 1996.
We only have 500,000 people on a massive island. We've come through some difficult times, and most Newfoundlanders survive with hard work, helping each other, and that's been passed on from generation to generation.
Can you hear that in the...
Sorry, I am going to pause it for a minute. That accent is crazy.
So can you hear like the Dublin accent mixed into that?
It's like a Dublin accent and like a Cork accent and a Kerry accent rolled into one. That's wild. Considering it's in Canada, it's crazy.
No wonder the Canadians were thinking we were from Newfoundland when we first got there. Yeah. You can hear the Irish well mixed in there. You can hear the Scottish as well.
I know we haven't really gotten into the story yet, but you know, for such a small town that's helping so many people, that's, you know, that's crazy. Like 10,000 people is a small place. And he's been mayor since the 60s. That's insane.
That's why I said 1996.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's still a long time.
Yeah.
Still a long time to be mayor.
To present day now,
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story, though. Everyone, all the Canadians come together with the Americans and giving them safe haven and looking out for them. Like, it is a beautiful story, especially with the events that did take place in New York on that day. And rest in peace to all them during that event, and send a lot of love to all the families and all that. But it is an awful time in history, and unfortunately, as much as New York is beautifully built up, it is always associated with that.
I know.
And there is always a memory you do look at when you look at New York. But it should always be remembered as a day that everyone came together and looked after each other. The people came together and looked out for each other.
Absolutely. And it's amazing to see that it wasn't just Americans that, you know, reached a hand out and helped Americans too. It was different people from all over the world, and especially a whole town.
Yeah.
Just incredible to see. Can't wait to hear the rest of the story.
The cold season can come quickly and severely in Newfoundland, but September 11th, 2001 dawns warm and sunny, a typically bucolic day that will be anything but typical, as Gander is about to be thrust into the catastrophic events unfolding 1,000 miles to the southwest. Its citizens to be challenged as never before.
September 2001
That's so cute.
started as a normal day in Gander. While we were having coffee, someone said there was a plane that crashed in New York in one of the Twin Towers.
We had complaints of speeding on Airport Boulevard. It's the only 4-lane road that we have, and I was parked in front of the curving club. I had my car radio and I heard what was going on. And like a lot of people, I couldn't believe that this was happening. And I said, that can't be true. It just can't be.
It is such a pretty morning, isn't it?
Perfect fall morning.
On that September morning, air traffic control veteran Ben Sliney is on his first day in his new position as FAA National Operations Manager. Barely an hour
All days for it to happen.
there is an ominous development.
We were trying to locate American 11. It had shut off its transponder and dropped below radar coverage.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the book is called Hughes. We want to go live right now and show you a picture of the World Trade Center.
A plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York City.
We saw what appeared to be a fireball at the top of the World Trade Center.
We had reports of another aircraft that had deviated from its course.
Oh, another one just hit. Something else just hit.
U.S. officials say it appears it was a third plane that hit the Pentagon.
The way that plane just went in there.
National ground stop, meaning that no other aircraft could take off. And whatever's necessary. Just get them stopped now. I don't want any more planes on their frequency taking off.
56 minutes after the North
But
Tower struck,
oh my
an
God.
unprecedented decision has been made. Every non-military plane must land immediately. For the first time ever, American airspace is closed.
Oh my God.
This is war. This is a declaration and an execution of an attack on the United States.
The only way to really sort the situation out was to land everyone in our airspace.
The FAA now says that all international flights headed for the United States are being diverted to Canada.
Every day, as transatlantic flights enter and leave North American airspace, they are managed here, the Area Control Center in Gander, Newfoundland.
Canada 1174 Center, good day. Clear to send to maintain 6,000 feet.
On September 11th, when U.S. airspace is shut down, there are almost 400 planes carrying tens of thousands of passengers westbound over the Atlantic. Around 200 are close enough to return to Europe. 167 more are too far across the ocean to turn back.
When did you begin to be aware of what was about to happen again? The flights that had been crossing the Atlantic more than halfway, many of them were going to be headed for Gander and St. John's and Halifax, but Gander would be the big magnet.
I knew that the Canadians were going to get an onslaught of traffic, and I suppose I hoped that they'd be able to handle that traffic.
60 north, 20 west.
That's a lot of
Responsibility of
planes.
handling the traffic falls
Gee,
to a
jam-packed.
team led by Don O'Brien, the supervisor on duty at the control center for NAV Canada, the Canadian version of the FAA.
The arrival sector, we normally would have 3 controllers seated. We quickly went to 14. We train for emergencies, we train for bomb threats, but usually it's a single airplane or maybe a second one maybe, but not to this level. The activity was going on here.
Was another part of your mind thinking about what had happened in New York and the possibility that there were more terrorists out there?
I'm sure it went through the controllers' heads, it went through my head, but sure, some of those airplanes could have been missiles. We didn't know how extensive this was, but that wasn't
you just had to stand a moment and get it done.
To get those airplanes on the ground safely.
Yeah. That's what you would be like, though.
One of the pilots
just get everyone to
approaching
safety.
Newfoundland is Beverly Bass, the first female captain at a major airline. She's flying American Flight 49 from Paris to Dallas with 170 people on board.
From the controller's standpoint, they feared that another airplane was going to be taken down.
You would.
Some of the airplanes were given directions to turn around and go back to their departure city. So we're sitting there cruising westbound and looking out the window, and you can actually see them turn and make 180s and head back to Europe.
Newfoundland is an island located off the eastern edge of North America. The 167 planes approaching Canada all must land immediately. The vast majority at small airports around the island and in the nearby maritime provinces, all controlled in Gander. Over the next 7 hours, Gander Control and the surrounding airports will handle unprecedented traffic under extreme emergency conditions.
So we're going to leave part 1 there. So much has happened already, and it hasn't even really gotten into what happened yet. The United 93, his first day, and that happens. The first female captain, and that happens. Like, what would you do?
I don't know. You'd literally just what he said, what the tower control said there in Gander in Newfoundland. Stay focused on getting everyone to safety. Get everyone as quick as you can on the ground and to safety and away from any threats or further attacks. You just have to focus on the job in the day. Yeah. Like as scary as it is and most terrifying, like when he's asking there to be asking people, you know, would you be worried about this? You would, but you're more worried about, okay, we have to get these lives to safety.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what everybody would have been like. The pilots, passengers, the people that are running the air traffic from the ground. Like, I didn't know Gander was like the main air traffic control there as well. So that's, and it makes sense as to why they went there now, but just already it's a crazy story already, it really is.
But not only that, you had everyone coming down from the air in all the small airports in Newfoundland. Yeah. Like, you had Gander, you had St. John being filled up and everything. It was a crazy day for the world. Like, all the world could do was stand still and watch and hope people got to safety. Like, it would have been frightening. And to be on them flights at that time as well. Imagine you're just going about, you're on holiday, you're probably going back to see loved ones, and the captain just turns around and tells you that what's going on in New York. And I was like, yeah, we actually have to turn around in case we're up next.
Yeah. Did the captains tell them what was going on, or did they just say they had to divert and tell them when they were on the ground to stop, like, panic?
Yeah, actually. Yeah. I just assumed they would have been told, but a smart move would be to kind of just say, we have to make an emergency landing, because imagine everyone hearing that in the air. You'd freak out.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You'd freak out. Anyway, imagine having to, you're close enough to go back to Europe, but you're too far and you have to keep going.
Yeah.
Just, All the pilots are doing an incredible job, just keeping calm and keeping everyone safe. Just incredible. It really is.
Like, if we didn't know before why these people are in the positions they're in, because keeping such a cool head and getting, like, prioritising other people before themselves, like, that's a heroic feat for everyone there as well. And to see both Canada and the USA, we know Canada's North America, but Canada and America and the United States coming together like that to keep all citizens safe, like, that's a great show of humanity as well.
That is part 1. Like we said, the video is very long, so we do have to split it up. So part 2 will be out tomorrow. Yes. So we'll see you all then.
We'll see you then. Bye.